Good evening. Welcome to this meeting of Westminster's Mayor's Public. The council meets here at City Hall on the second and fourth Mondays of each month. Please note that council meetings, although open to the public here at City Hall, are also available and streamed live on the city's YouTube page, as well as the Community Media Center channel on the website. Now I'll begin as we do every meeting with the pledge to the flag, followed by a member flag. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And to courtesy to everyone, please take a moment to silence your cell phones or any other electronic devices you have with you that might otherwise disrupt the meeting. Thank you. Copies of tonight's agenda and the entire information packet that the council will be using are available online on the city's website. Copies of the agenda are available here in front of the room for folks who are attending the meeting in person. I'd like to make a statement for the record. I'm about to close the meeting of Monday, January 13th, 2025, in accordance with the General Provisions Article, Section 3-306C2 of the Annotated Code of Maryland, and without objection, it is noted that the minutes of tonight's meeting reflect that the Common Council met in a closed meeting on Monday, January 13th, 2025, at 8:34 p.m. pursuant to General Provisions Article, Section 3-305B4, to consider a matter that concerns the proposal for a business or industrial organization to locate, expand, or remain in the state, and B5, to consider the investment of public funds. The motion to close the meeting was made by Mr. Hoff, seconded by Ms. Gilbert. Voting in favor were Mr. Dayhoff, Ms. Gilbert, Mr. Hoff, and myself. Mr. Kravati was presiding that evening. Following staff members attended the meeting: City Administrator Impulse, Chief of Police Ledwell, and Director of Finance Rogers. Common Council took no official action during the meeting. The closed meeting adjourned at 9:30 p.m. Thank you. Now we'd like to take a minute or a few minutes to hear from our auditors. The city conducts the annual audits, and we're very pleased to be able to get the report this evening on how that went. With us tonight from our auditing firm, SB & Company, LLC, is Mr. Bill Seymour and Ms. Renata Yates. Thank you very much for coming tonight.
All right. Good evening, everyone. My name is Bill Seymour. I'm the engagement partner with SB & Company. This represents our required communications at the completion of a financial statement audit. We have a presentation on, hopefully. All right, there we go. Thank you. We have a presentation on walkthrough, fairly high level. Please stop me with any questions that you may have. The scope of services: we were engaged to perform an audit of the June 30, 2024 financial statements. Performance of the Uniform Guidance Single Audit, that is a required compliance audit when you spend more than $750,000 of federal funds. Submission of the data collection form. Certain agreed upon procedures related to the Department of Housing and Urban Development's REACT filing. We provided limited assistance in the drafting of the statements. We reviewed the Uniform Financial Report. That is a report that takes your statements and puts them in a fit and format that works for the Department of Legislative Services, and as well as working with management on a year-round basis as items come up. The summary of our results: we've issued an unmodified, or if you will, clean opinion on the financial statements. That's the best opinion that we are allowed to issue under generally accepted auditing standards. We also issued an unmodified opinion on the Uniform Guidance Single Audit Report. During the course of our audit, we did not note any instances of fraud. I would caution our audit is not a fraud audit. That would be different in scope. However, professional standards require that we maintain a healthy skepticism for fraud, look for fraud where we test, and through those limited procedures, we did not note any. We discovered no material weaknesses in internal controls. We noted one significant deficiency related to controls over payroll. Effectively, there were a certain number of timesheets in our selection that weren't approved through the normal process. I would note that last year we had three findings. Thrre findings. Two of those were cleared, and one of those will be cleared. Just a matter of timing. Fortunately, when you do a single audit, you're basically 3/4 of the year through when you find an item. So if you find something, it almost takes 2 years to clear it. So the item we received will clear it for next year, but because it was outstanding for 3/4 of the year, we can't say it's cleared as of yet. And we received the full cooperation from management. Well, I thank Teresa and her team for helping out. Renata?
So what you see here on this slide is our SPC audit approach. It's a risk-based approach, and it is a funnel for a reason. We spend a lot of time in the beginning, planning, assessing, controls, testing, and then based on those testing and those results, we can then perform the remaining of the procedures and determine how many more procedures are needed there. We do use the COSO framework when evaluating internal controls. That framework has 5 interrelated components, which is the 5 items you see here: control environment, risk assessment, control activities, information communication, as well as monitoring. And based on those items we've tested and reviewed, we've determined that all 5 items are designed and operating effectively. When evaluating key processes, specifically when we are performing those walkthroughs, discussing items with management, testing transactions and testing items substantively, we've looked at treasury estimation, financial reporting, and revenue, and we have assessed that those items are designed and operating effectively. And then the remaining items here, as Bill mentioned, there were a couple findings reported. Payroll as well as some grant compliance items, but remaining items are all designed and operating effectively. Okay, there. So as far as the single audit, so the city did spend more than $750,000 federal dollars. So we performed a single audit. There were 2 major programs that were tested. With those 2 major programs, we tested 98% of the total federal awards. The city did not qualify as a low risk entity, basically meaning that we had to audit 40% of the CFA instead of 20%, but we were way above that at that 98% coverage. We did issue an unmodified opinion, and we had a couple of different findings, mainly non-compliance on the housing choice voucher were the finding items for this year. Here's some financial highlights on the statement of net position, some comparisons, current year and prior year. This is a summarized version of the financial statements. On the asset sides, the main items there on the current assets is cash and investments, which we did perform some substantive procedures and testing there. Capital assets remained pretty consistent year over year. There's a couple of projects that are still in progress that we audited. Go to the next one. Yep. And then as far as changes in acquisitions, here you can see some of the revenues and the expenses year over year. The main item on the revenue side is really the grants that have been decreasing the revenue. And the main item there is that the ARPA funding that has been spent during the year.
And during the course of doing the audit of the numbers, there was nothing that was special in there or items that caused additional attention or items that we needed to bring to your attention. The remaining part of our presentation goes through our specific required communications. This is our opportunity and our responsibility to chat with you kind of what's underneath the hood of the audit. You know, when I mentioned earlier, we issued an unmodified opinion. As an auditor, there's lots of ways that you can get there. You know, there could be lots of journal entries. There could be accounting policies that are just barely acceptable. We could have disagreements with management. We have none of those items to report going through the audit. You know, we mentioned some of the findings, but they are, you know, more compliance and very minor. And in a lot of ways for the single audit, unfortunately, Once you don't have one thing, it becomes a finding for that. None of those would have risen to kind of what we would consider the internal control findings over the financial reporting process. So I'll stop there, see if there's any questions. Once again, I want to thank Teresa and her team for all of their help in getting us through the audit.
All right, thank you very much. Any questions for our auditors? We've all received a copy of the report and had a chance to review it. Thank you very much
Sorry.
Thanks very much for the report. We appreciate it very much. We appreciate all the good work. And I know you all spent a lot of time over in the city offices. You were there a few times, and very much appreciate the good report. And congratulations, Ms. Amos and Ms. Rogers and the whole finance team and all the managers for doing such a great job this year. It's I think this is one of the best audit reports I can recall us ever getting. So very pleased.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming. One more presentation I'd like to do before we move on. When Dr. Julia Jaskin became president of McDaniel College, she promised that she would be much more engaged with the city than the college had done in the past. And one of her promises was to send a member of her city leadership team to city council meetings on a regular basis to share with us what's happening up on the hill and take back what's happening in the city. And tonight we're very pleased to have the most senior member of her staff, Dr. Flavia Silly, the provost of the college, here with us to share some news. Thank you very much for coming.
Well, thank you. Good to see everyone, and just very brief updates. First, thanks to Dr. Mona Becker. Always so nice to collaborate with you and the council, and it's been so nice over the recent months to be able to collaborate over breakfast and interact and plan together. So the first thing I would like to say is a word of thanks to Westminster City. We had 2 students over our January term that did internships. This is the second year we've done this. We had a student in the budget and finance department and a student in the economic development area of the city, and they had, as they report, very good experiences, which we're really happy about. I'd like to share that upcoming, there are 2 information sessions for a new program that the college has launched called the Carroll County Scholars Program. And this program, these 2 information sessions are open to 9th graders and 11th graders and their parents, of course, to learn about the Carroll County Scholars Program, which is really an initiative of the college to help students and families in Carroll County understand the whole college process, to demystify it, help students find the right college for them, whether it's McDaniel or someplace else. If students complete this program, they're awarded a $100,000 scholarship to the college, which is $25,000 a year, which is a great benefit for students in Carroll County who want to attend McDaniel College. And I'll leave a handout as I go here in this chair about that program for anyone who might be interested in learning more about when those sessions are and how to attend and register. And then the last update is that the college publishes semesterly a booklet called McLive. It's all of the college's events and activities, most of which are open to everyone in the Westminster community. And there are arts, there's theater, there's music, there's any number of programs that I would encourage you to come up to the college and take part in. They're really lovely. So again, I'll leave that here as well. And if you are on our campus and you happen to see me there, I attend a lot of events, please come up to me. I'd love to chat with you and welcome you to the college. And thank you again to the mayor and to the council for all of your hospitality and good collaborative teamwork over these last few years. So thank you so much, and I'll leave this here.
Great, right. Thank you, Dr. Lilly. We appreciate it very much. Do you have any questions for Dr. Lilly? Thanks again.
One quick question.
Oh, sure, Mr. Lodge.
When do the students get back for their spring semester? Are they back?
Yes, they
Yeah,
started
today.
today, Tony, yeah. It was exciting. They were ready.
I knew that because I saw more cars on the way to Green Street.
There's still a lot of snow on the campus and there's some of the steps are still difficult to navigate, but they're getting around.
Yeah, they're young, they'll be okay.
Yeah, they're fine.
Or anything.
Thank you very much. All right, now it's time for public hearings. We have a couple of public hearings tonight. And here in the city of Westminster, the mayor presides over this. I will turn the chair over to Dr. Becker.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. President. This is a public hearing for annexation resolution number 24-11. Annexation number 83, Optimum Properties LLC petition for annexation, enlarging the corporate boundaries of the city of Westminster by annexing into the city certain property containing plus or minus 3.572 acres located at the northwestern end of Kent Terrace beyond its intersection with Woodside Drive and generally to the east of Starry Night Drive. Continuous to and adjoining the city's existing corporate boundaries consisting of real property identified as tax account number 07-001223, map 0046, grid 0021, and parcel 0033. And before we take public comments, I'll ask Mr. Depot if he'd like to give his report.
Yes, thank you. Optimum Properties LLC seeks the annexation of property containing 3.572 acres as described by the mayor. The annexation area is today zoned R20,000 residence district in Carroll County. The petitioner is requesting the property be zoned to R10,000 residential zone. This did require a waiver from Carroll County because it is an upzoning from R20,000 to R10,000. The applicant did submit that waiver and that waiver was accepted by the county. The petitioner is proposing at some point to subdivide the property into 4 to 7 residential lots. On October 28, 2024, annexation resolution 2411 was introduced, including the annexation plan by the mayor and common council, allowing the process to begin. On October 29th, 2024, annexation resolution 2411, along with the annexation plan pursuant to the annotated code of Maryland, was emailed to Carroll County and forwarded to the Maryland Department of Planning. On November 22nd, 2024, Maryland Department of Planning forwarded to review comments to the city. This is in attachment 5 of the report. On December 4th, 2024, the Carroll County Planning and Zoning Commission met to discuss the annexation and provided a recommendation to the Board of County Commissioners. On December 5th, 2024, the Board of County Commissioners of Carroll County discussed annexation 83 and voted to provide a comment letter documenting the review process, comments received during the Carroll County 60-day review period, and that's in attachment 6 of the report. On January 16th, 2024, the city's Planning and Zoning Commission held a public hearing on annexation 83. The Planning and Zoning Commission forwarded annexation 83, including annexation resolution 2411 and the annexation plan to the city of Westminster's Mayor and Common Council with a favorable recommendation. Department of Community Plan Development recommend that the Mayor and Common Council adopt annexation plan resolution 25-2, approving the annexation plan for annexation 83 as provided in attachment 1 of the report, and then adopt annexation resolution 2411, approving annexation 83 as provided in attachment 2 of this report. I'm available for any questions.
Any questions? Mr. Depot? Hearing none, then we'll start with our first witness, our first hearing. So, Mr. Durpan, can we switch order? I guess. Go ahead. Ms. Miller, we'll start with you.
Good evening, everyone. Kelly Schaefer Miller. I'm going to remain seated if that's okay, so that I'm not blocking anyone behind me. 73 East Main Street, Westminster, Maryland, 21157. I am here tonight on behalf of the applicant, Optimum Properties, represented by Frank Cotapan, who is present and seated behind me. We also have with us Randy Bechtel, who prepared the annexation plan for us. So we are here and happy to answer any questions that the council might have. Briefly, I will say that, first of all, there is a second public hearing following this, which is also the property owned by the Podapans. So all of the facts and information that I'm sharing with you as part of this is the same for the second hearing as well. This property is zoned R20 in the county. We are requesting R10 zoning in the city. That we did receive the zoning waiver from the county commissioners. And in reality, the request for R10 zoning in the city will not result in increased density of this property. It's being done because in order to comply with the bulk requirements of the zoning district for the R10 in the city versus R20 in the county, we will still end up with the same lot yield that you would get under the county's R20 zoning. So the request is also consistent with the area. It adjoins R10 zoned property in the city. The other side of it does adjoin R20 zoned property in the county. But I will say that if you look at the size of those lots, I can assume that those were clustered through the county's approval process because they are smaller than 20,000 square foot lots. So I think that this will really be a nice blend between the two existing developments. And this did, prior to requesting the annexation, this did go through a water and sewer amendment process where this property was brought into the service area, and that was approved by MD and has finalized that process. So we are here happy to answer any questions that you have. BPR has done some concept layouts. But we are not here tonight requesting subdivision approval. We understand that before any subdivision is approved, this would have to be applied for and then go through the normal planning commission process for that. So tonight we're here requesting approval of the annexation. And like I said, all of these facts are going to be the same for the following property. I'll be here again. So if you do have any questions, we're here and happy to answer them. Thank you.
Thank you.
There.
Yes, sir.
So are we looking at, are we contemplating houses that are similar to the ones behind on Starry Night expectation?
Single family residential? Yes, yes.
Any questions? Mr. Potapan, would you like to speak? Mr. Batchel?
Yeah, pretty well. Thank you to know.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
If no one else wishes to speak on this matter, we'll call the public hearing closed at 7:22. The second public hearing, call to order at 7:23. Public hearing for annexation resolution number 24-13, annexation number 85, Ellen Potapan petition for annexation, enlarging the corporate boundaries of the city of Westminster by annexing into the city certain property containing plus or minus 5.47 acres located at the western end of Glen Drive and generally to the south of the western end of Starry Night Drive, continuous to and adjoining the city's existing corporate boundaries, consisting of real property identified as tax account number 07-434089, map 0046, grid 00121, and parcel 1648. Before we take public comment, we'll ask Mr. Depot if he has anything he'd like to report.
Yes, thank you. This is going to sound very familiar. So Ellen, Grant, and Tyler Potapan, collectively the petitioners, seek the annexation of property containing 5.47 acres, as again described by the mayor. This property also is currently zoned R20,000 residence district in Carroll County, and the petitioner is requesting an R10,000 residential zone in the city. This also required a zoning waiver, which was submitted and accepted by Carroll County. The petitioner is proposing to subdivide the property into 11 to 15 single-family detached dwellings. And to answer the question from the previous one, this mimics what's surrounding the property. These two properties, although listed as different entities, and that's why we process them differently, they're essentially owned by the same family and will be developed together. But because they were separate properties, not adjoining each other and listed as separate property owners, that's why we did two separate annexation requests. On October 28th, 2024, Annexation Resolution 2413 was introduced, including the annexation plan by the Mayor and Common Council to begin the annexation process. On October 29th, 2024, Annexation Resolution 2413, along with the annexation plan pursuant to the annotated code of Maryland, was emailed to Carroll County and forwarded to the Maryland Department of Planning. On November 22nd, 2024, Maryland Department of Planning forwarded its review comments to the city, and this is in attachment 5 of your report. On December 4th, 2024, the Carroll County Planning and Zoning Commission met to discuss Annexation 85 and to provide recommendation to the Board of County Commissioners. On December 5th, 2024, the Board of County Commissioners discussed Annexation 85 and voted to provide a comment letter documenting the review process and comments received during the Carroll County 60-day review period, and this is in attachment 6 of the report. On January 16th, 2024, the city's Planning and Zoning Commission held a public hearing on Annexation 85. The Planning and Zoning Commission forwarded Annexation 85, including Annexation Resolution 2413 and the annexation plan, to the City of Westminster Mayor and Common Council with a favorable recommendation. Department of Community Plan Development recommends that the Mayor and Common Council adopt Annexation Plan Resolution 2503, approving the annexation plan for Annexation 85, then recommends the Mayor and Common Council adopt Annexation Resolution 2413, approving Annexation 85. And that completes my report. I'm available for any questions.
Questions for Mr. Depot?
Madam Mayor, since you're running this meeting, aren't you? What's the plan in terms of they're gonna come in off of Glen Drive for access to the property?
Yes, in this case, at the end of that roadway, you would have access in. The property prior to this would have access not only off of the county roadway, but also connecting to Stonegate. So we provide that connection, which would be nice when this develops.
But it's not gonna connect back to Starry Night, because you got houses in between there, right?
Yeah, it will not.
It's dead end.
Yes, it'll be dead end cul-de-sac. That would be they do have concept plans, and that's what we would recommend, or that's what we envision, a cul-de-sac.
Mr. President, being the ex officio on planning and zoning, when it was presented to planning and zoning, they briefly showed us the rough concept plan and it dead ends into a cul-de-sac back there. And that's the concept. It won't connect.
Any other questions for Mr. Depot?
No, Mayor.
Yes.
So, Mr. Depot, so obviously the two properties are not connected. What about the property in between? I mean, you can tell us about that or expectations on what might happen there.
You mean property in between.
Well, the two properties don't connect.
Yeah, in between, there's single family detached dwellings that property go all the way back and touch Stonegate. Yeah.
I couldn't tell that. All right, thank you.
And then the land to the west is actually existing forestry easement, I believe, for the Starry Stonegate subdivision.
Madam Mayor, one
Yes.
more question.
Councilmember.
I don't know if this is for Mr. Depot or for our audience members. I was just curious what the anticipated price point of the homes were gonna be.
Have not determined that at this point.
Okay. We still probably have a few years of the subdivision process ahead of us, so. Come to those like.
Might depend on what the market is.
Yes.
But your intent is to be comparable
Yeah.
as far as.
That's kinda where I was going,
Yes, and Stonegate.
If I was building it today, it would be very comparable to the resales that are occurring in Stonegate this time.
Okay.
It's gonna go more towards that end than the
Yeah.
wood side.
Yeah, it'll
Councilmember Bocci.
So, yeah, I do. So it kind of goes back to the same question related to access. So obviously the other property, we're already coming in, we're maintaining roads, we're plowing streets, we have police service that can access that through existing city property or, you know, kind of off that road there. But this one's definitely more remote. The way we're gonna go well outside of the city into the county to then access this relatively small group of homes. Are we going to be providing snow plowing and, road maintenance and things like that. Trash pickup, all of those things and is that, that road, or is that gonna work? Now, I'm not trying to make this different. I just wanna make sure we're looking out for the fact that we're gonna have to provide services, to these homes, which it's a little remote how to get to it, and that could be overstating that, but.
And we will be required to provide those services to the properties once annexed and developed into the city. We can certainly work with Carroll County Public Works and our Public Works on how to maybe snowplow, because you're right, there will be that disconnect of Woodside Drive between these two developments.
Yeah, we're typically way in front of the county when it comes to potholes.
Yeah.
Because they're plowing 10 times the amount of roads that we are. And, it's often unplowed roads until you get to the city, and then it's paved. Okay. I'm not sure this is a problem. I just want to kind of think about it.
I think it's something we can certainly look at time of subdivision when the applications are coming to the planning commission, how we provide those services.
I believe, Madam Mayor, I believe planning and zoning brought up that similar concern regarding the snow plowing.
Yes.
Obviously trash and the, the maintenance of the streets that's the cities, but sometimes from our understanding, sometimes there's cooperation between the two different public works departments to kind of do what makes sense, so.
So would you like to add anything?
Again, Kelly Schaefer Miller, I will add that we also have Ellen Popan here for this annexation as well, Brent's wife. And happy to answer any questions. The conversation did come up about maintenance, and if you'll recall, this conversation also came up several months or maybe even a year or two ago with the larger industrial annexation that came in down in Stone Chapel and Avondale, where there was a situation where it would just not make sense. And there is a sort of history where the county and the city will work together in terms of snow plowing and those sorts of things on those roads. So I could envision something similar when a subdivision plan is being processed on this as well. Yes, but again, happy to answer any other questions that anyone has. We have the same team here and it's able to cast it.
Mr. and Mrs. Puterton, would you like to say anything? Okay. Any other questions from the council? All right, if no one else wishes to speak on this subject, we will call the public hearing closed at 7:32 p.m.
All right, thank you very much, Rebecca. Move on now with next item on the agenda, which will be the consent calendar. We have 2 items on the consent calendar this evening. I have a motion to approve the consent calendar.
To approve, Mr. President.
A motion by Mr. Kavaki, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Gilbert. All those in favor of approving the consent calendar, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. The ayes seem to have the ayes have it. The consent calendar is approved. Reports from there, Dr. Becker.
Thank you, Mr. President. I don't have very much to say. It's been a pretty quiet 2 weeks in the city. I know that there'll be some committee reports following up. The one thing I just did want to mention was thanks again for all the departments at the city that come out when we have a snow event, especially when it's over a weekend. Sorry, Ms. Gilbert, as the last one was. But again, appreciate and hear wonderful comments about the cleaning of the street, being timely and getting things cleared. So again, thank you. And that's my report.
Very good, thank you, Dr. Becker. All right, move on to reports from the committees. Mr. Dale is not with us this evening. Economic and Community Development Committee, Mr. Huff.
I don't have anything to report this evening. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you. Finance Committee, I'll just report that the Finance Committee did meet this morning, reviewing contracts with the city administrator. Nothing to report for the Personnel Committee. Public Safety, Mr. Kashi.
Thank you, Mr. President. On January 15th, the police department provided Maryland certified police officer Jacqueline.
Direct tense.
Thank you. With the job offer, Officer Direct Tense will begin employment with the police department on February 13th. She brings approximately 8 years of Maryland municipal policing experience with her, as well as many advanced qualifications, including first line supervisory training, which is pretty fantastic. On January 14th, Officer Barbara Bogan received the Officer of the Quarter Award for outstanding performance during the last quarter of 2024. And, some of the things that she won this for that were in the certificate for her were things like showing a really great positive attitude and willingness to learn. She's new, she's just off of her field training, correct? So she's a new officer, and she's certainly motivated. She made 11 arrests, handled 220 traffic violations, including 3 DWIs, and she effected 2 felony assault arrests that involved weapons. So that's pretty good for an officer right out of field training. I also wanted to take a moment and just talk a little bit about the police station. There's been some nice improvements going on over there, and there's been incredible interdepartmental cooperation that's been taking place between your staff going over, you wiring up the consoles, and I'm blown away by the data system that you guys have installed, where you're allowing the officers to go in and look at data and pull up reports and arrests and hotspots. And, the chief has been, heck, since we interviewed him for the job, his whole mantra has been data-driven policing. And with you now doing what you're doing, allowing him to even take that to the next level is incredibly impressive, right? And I asked him in our public safety meeting, I was like, what software are we using for that? How much are we paying for that software system? And we're not paying anything for it other than, your time and effort. So that's impressive. Public Works is doing yeoman's work on doing jobs that we often would outsource, like putting in flooring and painting and things like that would typically cost the taxpayers a lot of money, but it's not costing anywhere near as much as it would because we're doing all the work in-house. And from what I understand, it's coming out very nicely, although I do want to spend a little more time taking a look at that soon. So I just wanted to say kudos to the entire staff. And I'm sure I'm missing other departments that are probably participating. And then lastly, I just wanted to make a comment. We were short-staffed for quite some time, as were almost all police departments in the country, because of a lot of stuff at the national level. It's very difficult to find police officers and hire them and retain them. But the chief and his staff and his leadership have really done an incredible job of getting the staffing levels back up. And I think we see it. We see low crime. We don't see it. Not that we've ever had big crime problems, but it's safe. And that's because of, in great part due to your efforts. You've talked about you want to be proactive and have teams out there doing things where they're looking for issues, not just reacting to them. And we're doing that. And I'm not going to get into details and examples of what those things are, but it's happening. And I just wanted to compliment you and your leadership team and the entire department on an excellent job.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
That's all I have, Mr. President.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Kalachi. Public Works Committee, Ms. Gilbert.
Well, I'll get into the details. Public Works, as everybody knows, has been busy with the winter storm, from the 16th to the 20th. And just some general stats. The snowstorm, our employees covered 2,111 miles of snow removal. 35 employees were at work through those days, 686 hours total, 349.8 tons of salt were used at a total cost of $44,770 and some change. So I thought those were some nice stats to share. And that's all I have.
Very good, thank you. Recreational Parks, would you like to do that for us as well?
Very short report tonight. Public Works is gearing up for all the New Year events, and starting with the planning of the Celtic Canter that will take place on March 8th, and more will come from Public Works later. That's all I have.
All right, very good, thank you, Ms. Gilbert. And Mr. Dayhoff is again not here for the technology today report. Now we move on to council comments and discussion. This is the opportunity for council members to share their thoughts on anything that is not in the committee report or elsewhere on the agenda. Mr. Kalachi.
Thanks, Mr. President. I do actually have something surprising that I rarely make a council comment. I will tonight. I spent some time out at Wakefield Valley over the weekend. My wife and I went out there and kind of checked out what you have going on, and it is just spectacular. Just so impressive. And I know it's been a long time coming, and you've had a lot of vision that kind of is going into place up there. I'm starting to talk about it more out in the community with people now that it's getting closer to fruition. And the excitement level is building for sure. And now that people can see it and kind of have an idea of what it's gonna look like, you know, and the Durban house looks nice, you know, generally with the paint and everything, we're trying to figure out what's gonna be on the front with that roof coming down, but it looks great. And I just wanted to compliment you. It's really coming along nicely. And you can really see what you're doing out there. So great work.
All right, thank you, Mr. Kamachi. Ms. Gilbert?
Just a couple things, last week, oh no, the screen went away. Oh no, it really did go away. Hold on a minute. Let's see if I can remember this off the top of my head, because I just X'd out my notes. Last week I attended the, state of the county and, the commissioner's reception. And just as an FYI, next week, February the 6th, the county commissioners are hosting several sessions, I don't want to call them work sessions, but they're going to be sharing the county master plan. And the first stop is going to be in February at the Carroll Community College, Route K 100 from 1 to 6. If anybody's interested in seeing what the county has up for their plans for, I don't know how many years in the forefront, but the master plan will be revealed. So if anybody's interested in attending that. And I just want to shout out also, let me see, hold on. This is what happens when I don't have my notes. On January 23rd, Councilman Kabachi and Councilman Huff and myself were at a Hey Westminster event, and I just wanted to shout out to all the group of that comprised of Hey Westminster. It was a great evening, but it also demonstrated how wonderful our community gets together and supports our local entrepreneurs and each other, and just the ideas, the creativity. Was amazing to see that night. So a shout out to all those people involved and all the recipients. So that's all I have.
All right, thank you very much. Mr. Hoff?
Yes, I wanted to just kind of give a shout out to the planning department. Because as you will notice under ordinances, resolutions, pretty much everything there is tied into the planning department. And I've either seen it through economic and community development or as the ex officio on the planning and zoning commission. Which I've also commend our commission. We've been doing a lot of work, particularly on this land map amendment related to the Green Street project that comes up later tonight. And I just want to, give a shout out to the planning department for all their hard work related to all these items. And I will also say, I do think the Hey Westminster event was great, and I think it really speaks highly of our community and the community members that we have. We try to do some really neat things for the city of Westminster in our elected positions. But having community members that are actively involved in the community, trying to do good in the community as well, is just so critical to our success. And I really think, quite frankly, makes Westminster unique and special. And some of the people involved in Hey Westminster are really doing some awesome things for the community. So I really commend them as well. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Hoff. Right, move on now to the next item, which is bids. We have one bid this evening. Approval to purchase a pickup truck from Apple Ford located at 8899 Stanford Boulevard, Columbia, Maryland, under Baltimore County Contract 00004504 in the amount of $115,000. Ms. Inhofe.
Thank you, sir. The city's adopted fiscal year 25 capital budget allocates funding for the retrofit of a street department dump truck. Since this request was approved in the budget, the truck, however, has been diagnosed with blown engine and the turbo needs to be replaced. The streets department has decided this truck should be removed from the fleet and replaced with a smaller version, which will fulfill the current and future needs of the department. The requested dump truck is available by an existing contract between Baltimore County and Apple Ford. Westminster's procurement code allows the city to piggyback on this competitively awarded contract. The vehicle being purchased is a Ford F550 with dump body, salt spreader, and plow. Further information is attached. Additionally, the vehicle is ready to go and can be purchased and back in the fleet before the next snowstorm comes if it's approved tonight. The cost of the unit, including all of those accoutrements I just mentioned, is $115,000. Again, the fiscal year 25 budget for this project is $140,000 because we were intending to retrofit that particular truck, so it's a little bit more expensive, or a little bit more money allocated. Therefore, staff recommends that the mayor and common council approve a bid to purchase a pickup truck from Apple Ford under the Baltimore County contract 00004504 in the amount of $115,000. That concludes my report.
All right, thank you, Ms. Zim. Also, though, next snowstorm, you know something we don't know?
Oh, it snows on my birthday.
We will have snow next weekend.
We will. Okay.
I'm gonna hold you to that.
Snow is in the forecast 2 weeks from now.
Okay, good to know.
On my birthday.
All right, we get to know that, right? We have a motion to approve the bid.
I'll make a motion to approve the bid.
Motion by Ms. Gilbert, is there a second?
I will second, Mr. President.
Second by Mr. Hoff. Any questions or comments on this?
Mr. President, one quick thing. When I first got the packet and opened it up and saw a pickup truck for $115,000, really behind. XLT lariat, leather. We probably shouldn't call it a pickup truck. This is a commercial, a very large, it just should be calling it a truck. Because it's not a pickup truck.
It is a very large truck.
Yes, the 550 is not a pickup. So I just want to make sure we're clear on that.
Thank you for making that distinction.
We upgraded to Raptors.
Anyone else wish to be heard? All right, hearing no more discussion, we'll move on to a vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. The ayes seem to have it, the ayes have it. And the approved, it is approved. Thank you, Ms. Hall.
Thank you, sir.
We now have a series of ordinances and resolutions, so buckle your seatbelts. First item is adoption of ordinance number 2024-09, tobacconist and vape shop amendment of ordinance of.
Sorry, Mr. President. I apologize.
We'll show it there. An ordinance of the Mayor and Common Council of Westminster amending Chapter 164, zoning and subdivision of land of the city code to amend Article 1 general provisions and definitions of specialty shop, tobacconist, and vape shop to amend Article 7A mixed-use infill zone, Article 8B business zone, Article 8B BB downtown business zone, Article 9 CB central business zone, and Article 12 PI planned industrial zone, to add tobacconists and vape shops as permitted uses, to amend Article 11A NC neighborhood commercial zone, to add vape shops as a permitted use, to amend Article 20 special provisions, to impose certain restrictions on the location of vape shops, and to renumber without substantive change the list of permitted uses in certain of those zones. Mr. Depot.
Thank you. On January 13th, 2025, the Mayor and Common Council held a public hearing on Ordinance 2409. There were public comments primarily related to 279 East Main Street, which would potentially be affected by this ordinance. The Mayor and Common Council closed the public hearing and they voted to continue its decision on Ordinance 2024 to its January 27th, 2025 meeting tonight. 279 East Main Street, as we stated in the last public hearing, staff tries to work with businesses and we are now working with the applicant and that business to see if there is a way to allow that business to come into compliance with the ordinance. And with that, I am available for any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Depot. Let's get a motion.
Mr. President,
Mr. Hoff.
I would like, because I know my understanding at least is there's still some things going back and forth to try to, and there's two different versions of the ordinance. I would like to yet once again continue our consideration of the adoption of this ordinance. to our February 10th meeting. Just to kind of give things a little bit more time to digest so that we can make a decision on which version of the ordinance. Because remember, there was a different version that the Planning and Zoning Commission recommended than what staff recommended.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Bob, for mentioning that. So we are going to need a motion.
I'll make a motion to
Hold on.
continue.
I think we should have a motion to adopt, and then I think we should have a motion to postpone further consideration. We don't have to vote if we have a motion to adopt. But I don't think we can just, since it's not really before us yet. You think we would?
It could be handled like a motion to amend your agenda, which
okay.
means it would be in order.
Okay.
But I think your initial instinct is how it would ordinarily go. You would call it,
Right,
and then there'd be a subordinate motion.
yeah, I think that's the right way to go. Yeah. All right, so let's do it that way.
Can you
We all-
explain that?
Yeah, so, and of course, just per his understanding, when a member of the council would like to delay consideration, with all due respect, that member wishes and generally defer to that, but we need to get it properly before us so we can do that. So I'm gonna go ahead and ask for a motion to adopt ordinance number 2024, and then we will take action on how to dispose.
I'll move to adopt, Mr. President.
Okay, thank you. There's a motion to adopt. There's a second.
Second.
The motion by Mr. Gavachi, and there is a second by Ms. Gilbert. Mr. Hawk, would you like to make a motion?
I would like to make a motion that we take postpone consideration until our February 10th meeting.
Very good. There's been a motion to postpone
Second.
for consideration by Mr. Hawk. Is there a second? There's a second from Mr. Gavachi. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Those opposed say nay. The ayes seem to have it, the ayes have it. So we will postpone the consideration in order to allow this to mature a little further.
Okay.
Thank you. All right, very good. The next item is adoption of annexation plan resolution number 25-02, annexation number 83, an annexation plan for certain property containing plus or minus 3.572 acres, contiguous to and adjoining the city's existing corporate boundaries, consisting of real property identified as tax account number 07-001223, map 0046, grid 0021, 0033. This property is the subject of a petition for annexation submitted by the owners of the subject property to the mayor and common council of Westminster.
Staff has no additional comments beyond what was provided at the public hearing and recommend that the mayor and common council adopt annexation plan resolution 2502, approving the annexation plan for annexation 83.
All right, thank you very much. May I have a motion to adopt?
Move to adopt 24-11, Mr. President.
A motion by Mr. Kavachi to adopt. Is there a second?
Second, but didn't you just say 2502?
2502.
I apologize, 2502.
Yes.
I'm jumping ahead one.
We've got quite a few here, that's all right. So you're seconding Ms. Gilbert?
Yes, seconding the 2502.
25-2. All right. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll move on to a vote. All those in favor of adoption, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. The ayes seem to have, the ayes have it, and the annexation plan resolution is adopted. Next item is adoption of annexation resolution number 24-11, annexation number 83, Optimum Properties LLC, petition for annexation, enlarging the corporate boundaries of the city of Westminster by annexing into the city certain property containing plus or minus 3.572 acres, located at the northwestern end of Kent Terrace, beyond its intersection with Woodside Drive, and generally to the east of Starry Night Drive, contiguous to and adjoining the city's existing corporate boundaries, consisting of real property identified as tax account number 07-001223, map 0046, grid 0021, parcel 0033. Mr. Depot.
And staff has no additional comments from what was provided at the public hearing and recommend the mayor and common council adopt annexation plan resolution 2411 approving annexation 83.
All right, thank you, Mr. Depot. May I have a motion to adopt annexation resolution number 24-11?
Move to adopt 2411.
I'll second.
Then a motion by Mr. Kavachi and a second by Mr. Hoff. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll move on to a vote. All those in favor of adoption of annexation resolution number 24-11, annexation number 83, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. The ayes seem to have it, the ayes have it, and the annexation resolution is adopted. Item D, adoption of annexation plan resolution number 25-03, annexation number 85, an annexation plan for certain property containing plus or minus 5.7 acres contiguous to and adjoining the city's existing corporate boundaries, consisting of real property identified as tax cap number 07-434089, map 0046, grid 0021, parcel 1648, which property is the subject of a petition for annexation submitted by the owners of the subject property to the mayor and common council of Westminster. Mr. Depot.
And staff has no additional comments as those provided with the public hearing and recommend the mayor and common council adopt annexation plan resolution 2503 approving the annexation plan for annexation 85.
Thank you, Mr. Depot. Is there a motion on adoption of annexation plan resolution number 25-03?
Move to adopt 2503, Mr. President.
There's a motion by Mr. Kavachi to adopt. Is there a second?
Second.
A second by Ms. Gilbert. Any discussion? Hearing none, move on to a vote. All those in favor of adoption of annexation plan resolution number 25-03, annexation number 85, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. The ayes seem to have it, the ayes have it, and the annexation plan resolution is adopted. Next item is adoption of annexation resolution number 24-13, annexation number 85, Ellen Potapan petition for annexation, enlarging the corporate boundaries of the city of Westminster by annexing into the city certain property containing plus or minus 5.47 acres located at the western end of Glen Drive and generally to the south of the western end of Starry Night Drive, contiguous to and adjoining the city's existing corporate boundaries, consisting of real property identified as tax cap number 07-434089, map 0046, grid 0021, parcel 1648. Mr. Depot.
Again, staff has no additional comments from those provided at the public hearing and recommend the mayor and common council adopt annexation resolution 2413 approving annexation 85.
Thank you, Mr. Depot. May I have a motion to adopt annexation resolution 24-13?
Move to approve 2413, Mr. President.
There's a motion by Mr. Kavachi to approve the adoption. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Hoff. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll move on to a vote. All those in favor of adoption of annexation resolution number 24-13 on annexation number 85, please say aye.
Aye.
Please say nay. The ayes seem to have it, the ayes have it, and the annexation resolution is adopted.
You're earning your extra $600 a year. Mr.
I certainly am.
Clause if you even fill up your.
Thank you, Mr. Kavachi.
I might have to spend time on this side.
All right, adoption of resolution number 25-01. Now moving on from the annexation. Adoption of resolution number 25-01, amending the adopted water and sewer allocation policy and accompanying master distribution chart to allow for sewer-only allocations and to amend certain sections for consistency without substantive changes. Mr. Depot.
Thank you. City Code Chapter 124 Sewers and Sewage, Article 5 Allocations and Extensions, Section 12422 Allocation Plan, and Chapter 160 Water, Article 1 Potable Water, Section 160.14 Allocation Policy, authorizes the mayor and common council to establish a water and sewer allocation policy by resolution. Department of Community Planning and Development was contacted by Carroll Adult Medical Daycare about operating an adult daycare at 1102 Baltimore Boulevard. located in Carroll County in Zone C2 Commercial Medium Intensity District. The property is currently served by city sewer and a private well and is located within the water and sewer service areas. The proposed adult daycare will require additional sewer-only allocation. The property is eligible to be annexed. The community plan development was also contacted by property owners who live along Winchester Drive about connecting to city sewer. The properties are eligible to be annexed, and the single-family detached dwelling units along Winchester Drive are located in Carroll County, zoned R20,000 residence district. City water and sewer lines are existing within Winchester Drive right-of-way. All of the homes are connected to city water. However, there are a few homes that are not connected to city sewer, and these homes will require additional sewer-only allocation. These properties are not eligible for annexation. They're too far outside the boundaries. Pursuant to the water and sewer allocation policy, for a property to be granted additional water allocation that is located in the county and eligible for annexation, the property must annex into the city, and a property not eligible for annexation may obtain a good cause waiver. However, the water and sewer allocation policy addresses sewer-only emergency allocations for properties that are not currently connected to city sewer services, but does not address additional sewer-only allocation for properties served by city sewer. Staff met with the Water and Sewer Allocation Committee at its December 10th, 2024 meeting to discuss an amendment to the Water and Sewer Allocation Policy to allow for sewer-only good cause waivers, similar to current water-only good cause waivers. The committee supported the amendments and recommended forwarding the draft resolution and draft text to the Mayor and Common Council to amend the water and sewer allocation policy to allow for sewer-only allocations. Staff recommends the Mayor and Common Council approve Resolution 2501, amending the water and sewer allocation policy as outlined in the staff report and provided in attachments 1 and 2 of the report. And I'm available for any questions.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Depot. Let's get a motion. I have a motion to adopt resolution number 25-01.
A motion to adopt resolution 25-01.
This is a motion by Ms. Gilbert. Is there a second?
I will second, sir.
A second by Mr. Hoff. All right. Any discussion or questions for Mr. Depot?
Mr. President,
Mr. Kawhi.
silly question, how do we meter sewer only if there is no water connection?
When it's a well, like the example in 1102 Baltimore Boulevard, the well will have a meter. So we will know how much water is coming out, and that's assumed that much sewer is coming out. So we do. Yes.
Got it. Thank you.
Anyone else? Well, this seems like a prudent change to me. When we originally developed the water and sewer policy, we're mainly thinking of, homes that were connected to both water and sewer. So I think this makes sense to be able to give ourselves the flexibility to be able to do just sewer, just sewer. So, hearing no further discussion, move on to a vote. All those in favor of adoption of resolution number 25-01, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. The ayes seem to have it, the ayes have it, and the resolution is adopted. Now, the committee will have the authority to go back and make whatever approvals are necessary.
Yes.
Very good. All right. Thank you. Introduction of ordinance number 2025-02, an ordinance of the Mayor and Common Council of Westminster adopting local map amendment LMA 24-02, amending the zoning map for certain real property located at 222 East Green Street, Westminster, Maryland, 21157, to superimpose the compatible neighborhood overlay zone, CN zone, over the existing R7 7500 residential zone to develop multifamily dwelling.
Thank you. A&M LLC, the applicant, submitted a request to amend the zoning map superimposing the compatible neighborhood overlay zone, or CN zone, over the existing R7500 residential zone at 222 East Green Street via a local map amendment LMA 2402. As required with this request, a concept development plan was provided with the CN zone request. The property is located in the western quadrant of the intersection of East Green Street and Ralph Street in the city of Westminster. A portion of the property along East Green Street is located in the Westminster Historic District. The property has a land use designation of urban residential in the City of Westminster Comprehensive Plan. On May 29th, 2024, LMA 2402 was introduced to the city's Planning and Zoning Commission. The initial development plan proposed two 24-unit multiple family structures running on East Green Street. On August 29th, 2024, the Planning and Zoning Commission held an introductory work session for LMA 2402. The applicant revised the submission to include only one building and provided two different options to the Planning and Zoning Commission to discuss during the work session. Option one was a 3-story, 48-unit multiple family development, and option two was a 4-story, 64-unit multiple family development. The Planning and Zoning Commission had no issues with the mass and scale of the 4-story building, as the historic district had several examples of 4+ story structures, and they had no issues with the site design of the development plan. On September 4th, 2024, the Historic District Commission reviewed LMA 2402 and provided referral comments to the Planning and Zoning Commission. On September 19th, the Planning and Zoning Commission held a public hearing on LMA 2402. The Planning and Zoning Commission closed the public hearing and voted to forward LMA 2402 to a future work session. On October 17th, November 21st, and December 19th of 2024, the Planning and Zoning Commission held work sessions to discuss LMA 2402. At the December 19th meeting, the Planning and Zoning Commission discussed the development plan design, revised architectural elevations, the draft Planning and Zoning Commission recommendation, and the draft ordinance applying the CN zone to the property. The commission voted to forward a favorable recommendation letter regarding the CN zone applicability and compliance for the property. That's in attachment 6 of the report. Subsequently, the commission voted to forward ordinance 2025-02 as provided in attachment 1 of the report and accompanying development plan and the December 6, 2024 revised architectural elevation exhibits to the Mayor and Common Council approving LMA 2402 to superimpose the CN zone over the existing R7500 zone at the property. This time, staff recommends the Mayor and Common Council introduce ordinance 2025-02 and schedule a public hearing at a future Mayor and Common Council meeting. And that completes my report. I'm available for any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Depot.
Mr. President,
Ms. Inhofe.
I just want to take a quick moment on behalf of staff to thank the Planning Commission. They put in an enormous amount of effort on this particular project. What was brought to the Planning Commission is slightly different than what's being brought before you. And in my personal opinion, I think it is a better product because of all the hard work that the Planning Commission put into it. So it's not often that we give a shout out to boards and commissions, but I want to take a moment on behalf of staff to thank the Planning Commission for their hard work on this project.
Absolutely. I think yes, they've put an enormous amount of work, and I think it's on. If I watched the evolution, it certainly seems to be tremendously improved, product that's being presented to us. Let's get a motion on this. May I have a motion on introduction?
Mr. President, I'll make a motion for the introduction of ordinance number 2502.
Thank you. It's an introduction of ordinance number 2025-02. By Mr. Hoff, is there a second? Second by Ms. Gilbert. Thank you. Any discussion or questions?
Mr. President,
Mr. Hoff.
I do want to comment and follow up with what Ms. Imholt said. The Planning and Zoning Commission, which of course I serve on as ex officio, we did spend a lot of time, as you noticed from the staff report. There were multiple meetings, and I have one of our fellow members right here. And we really thought long and hard about what the elevations were going to look like. We took into consideration some of the comments that the Historic District Commission had. It was a very collaborative process between ourselves, the Historic District Commission, and the developer that really come up with, I think if you look at the original elevations then that were first submitted and compare it to the elevations that are now part of this LMA land map amendment, local map amendment, you can really tell that it's just a much better product. And I'm very excited to see see it actually get built, so.
Thank you. Introduce your colleague on the commission.
Ms. McNulty, right there.
There you go. Like to go over some questions. Thank you. So thank you. Anyone else wish to be heard? And thank you for also mentioning, I think the Historic District Commission early on, played a role in bringing some issues to everybody's attention, and I think that was helpful as well. So
Yeah.
really pleased to see our boards and commissions work on this way to really, improve, there's no further discussion. Move on to a vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say nay. The ayes seem to have it, and the ayes have it, and ordinance number 2025 is introduced. All right. And we'll bring this back, Mr. D, next. Not you grouse, right?
It does not, it's, the ordinance was drafted by and accepted by the planning commission that's before you, so it does not have to go back to them. It comes back to just the mayor and common council.
No, Mr. President, eventually when the site plan gets done, that will come back to the Planning and Zoning Commission.
Well, that's a whole other, we're at it.
Yeah.
All right. Final item under this section is introduction of ordinance number 2025-03, Cannabis Overlay District Amendment, an ordinance of the Mayor and Common Council of Westminster adopting a sectional map amendment to amend the boundaries of the Cannabis Overlay District for the purpose of establishing the appropriate locations for the designation of cannabis overlay floating zones permitting the operation of cannabis businesses in Mr. Depot.
Thank you. On September 25th, 2023, the Mayor and Common Council adopted Ordinance 2023-06, Cannabis Overlay District, an ordinance of the Mayor and Common Council of Westminster adopting a sectional map amendment to repeal the former medical cannabis overlay district and designate the boundaries of a new cannabis overlay district. Currently, there are 2 cannabis dispensaries located in the city and within the cannabis overlay district. One is the dispensary at 330 140 Village Road in Westminster, and 2 is Verilife Dispensary at 700 Corporate Center Court in Westminster. On October 10th, 2024, the owners of the dispensary at 330 140 Village Road submitted the request to extend the cannabis overlay district to include property located at tax map 0046, grid 10016, parcel 0307, further identified as tax account 07000774. This property is west of and adjacent to the Sheets development along Route 140. It is the intent of the applicant to vacate the current dispensary location at 330 140 Village Road to relocate to this property. On December 10th, 2024, the Economic and Community Development Committee discussed the applicant's request to amend the Cannabis Overlay District to include the property. The Economic Development Committee also discussed removing the 140 Village Road properties from the overlay district. The committee supported bringing a proposed Cannabis Overlay District amendment to the Mayor and Common Council for consideration. Ordinance 2025-03 Cannabis Overlay District Sectional Map Amendment proposes to 1, amend the City of Westminster zoning mapped Cannabis Overlay District by adding the property of SDAT 07000774 into the Cannabis Overlay District, and 2, to amend the zoning mapped Cannabis Overlay District by removing the 330 140 Village Road and 332 140 Village Road from the Cannabis Overlay District. And I'm sorry, I lost my recommendation here. I apologize. And with that, staff has recommended the Mayor and Common Council introduce ordinance number 2025-03 and refer ordinance 2025 as introduced on January 27, 2025 to the Planning and Zoning Commission for its review and recommendation to the Mayor and Common Council. I would like to point out that we did receive a letter from the applicant asking that the existing property that's being proposed to be removed, not to be removed at this time, allowing them to move forward with potentially moving their site and the development to that property adjacent to Sheets. And with that, I'm available for any questions.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Depot. All right, let's get this introduced. May I have a motion on introduction of ordinance number 2025-03? 2025-03.
Mr. President, I'll make a motion for the introduction of ordinance, number 2025-03.
Thank you, Mr. Hoff. Is there a second?
Second.
A second by Mr. Kavachi. All right, so, this will go then to the planning commission. I understand there's, a lot of, tinkering that needs to still take place with this perhaps before we get it exactly the way it needs to be before it comes back to us, but that'll give the planning commission and staff the opportunity to go through those discussions.
Yes.
Very good. Any questions or comments?
Mr. President, my only comment would be just let's make sure we get this worked out because that location currently has been problematic for us on numerous occasions. We've had this chamber filled on more than one occasion related to it, and I think it's going to be a much better fit down there next to Sheets. And of course, Sheets is going to be excited. There's going to be a lot of people with munchies going in.
We'll probably all over the Any further comments on this? Hearing none, we'll move on to a vote on introduction. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. The ayes seem to have it, and the ayes have it. And ordinance number 2025-03 is introduced and referred to the planning. All right, next item is unfinished business. There is no unfinished business of which I'm aware. Anybody have any unfinished business? Remind the council. Hearing none, we'll move on to new business. There is one item on new business. Mr. Kavachi.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the common council adjourn into a closed meeting on Monday, January 27, 2025, at the conclusion of the regular meeting in accordance with the general provisions of article of the amended annotated code of Maryland 3-305B3 to consider the acquisition of real property for a public purpose and matter directly related thereto. And B7, to consult with counsel to obtain legal advice.
All right, thank you, Mr. Kavachi. May I have a second?
Second.
The second by Ms. Gilbert. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. The ayes seem to have it, the ayes have it. So I'll note that at the conclusion of the regular meeting, the council will go into a closed meeting. It is not our intent to return to a regular session after the conclusion of the meeting. All right, next item is departmental reports. Ms. Impulse, will let you lead us through all the departments.
Thank you, sir. I have a few thank yous I want to say first. First to the council, most of you have thanked staff tonight for a variety of really significant reasons. I just want to, I admire when you acknowledge them. I know that they appreciate it as well. So thank you for pointing out the things that they're doing. That's important to you. I want to go ahead and thank the Public Works Department, specifically the Utilities Maintenance Department, the Sewer Department, the Water Department, and the Streets Department, all of which are involved in snow removal. But we usually just think of the Streets Department as being responsible for clearing the snow, and it is their responsibility, but they certainly couldn't do it without the assistance of all those other departments that sort of stop what they're doing to help out and plow the snow. And while we're talking about snow events, of course, I want to make sure we thank the Police Department, who are keeping an eye on things for us as well and working some extra shifts and overtime. So thank you to the Police Department for your recent work during the snow event. I was happy to hear the report from the audit firm at the beginning of the meeting, and I want to take an opportunity to thank Ms. Rogers and also her entire team for their hard work and seamless implementation of the audit process. It has not been seamless since I've been here. Ms. Rogers, of course, inherited a variety of things when she got here as well. And we're finally in a place where we have the opportunity to implement a variety of policies and procedures that are now being reflected in this audit here. So I want to make sure that the council's aware that the reason that we have that is because Ms. Rogers is keeping an eye on things, and also because of all the department heads who are following the procedures properly as well. So thank you. Thank you. I had an opportunity to pop into Rudolph Girls recently, the bookstore. They've got a lot of cool things going on this winter. They do a book club, a variety of books. I think that kind of covers lots of different topics. But they also have some interesting partnerships coming up this winter with Carroll Arts Council, as well as Collision Course. So if you're looking for a reason to get out in the dreary cold weather, I encourage you to pop in over there because there's some cool synergy happening with businesses downtown. They're certainly not the only ones doing it, but someone that was on the top of my head that I popped into this weekend. So I wanted to make everyone aware of that. All right, let's start with the Recreation Department. Ms. Gruber?
Good evening. I'll keep it brief. Just two things to report in on tonight. We started selling pool memberships back on December 16th, and it is snow covered outside, but there are many residents thinking summer. We've already sold 108 family pool memberships. And 8 individual pool memberships. And it doesn't sound like a lot, but certainly not something that's on the forefront of everybody's minds right now. So it's a great jumpstart on the season. We got the memberships advertised early in comparison to last year. We didn't start selling pool memberships until January 22nd. And at this time last year, we had only sold 55 pool memberships. So over double is the response. So we are really excited to see that moving along. And then in addition to looking forward to summer, we will open our summer camp registrations on Monday, February 3rd. So that concludes my report unless there are questions.
Other questions for Ms. Gruber? Hearing none, we'll move on to the
I think we're note that Celtic Cantor's coming up. We're in again for the 55K.
Excellent. I will make sure you are adequately registered so that you can put your training to the test.
Mr. Lodge's been in training all winter.
Got me. No other questions, we'll move on to the IT department. Mr. Moore.
Nothing much to report tonight. January's been very busy for us. A lot of things, moving parts going on, but status quo right now. So it's my report. If you have any questions.
Any questions for Mr. Moore? Hearing none, we're moving on to the housing. Yeah, Mr. Brown.
Thank you. I have nothing to report tonight, just routine stuff, moving along.
Very good. Are there any questions for Mr. Moore? Hearing none, we will move over to Mr. Depot for a short report.
You're taking enough time tonight.
Just skip it.
And on February 4th, the Board of Zoning Appeals is scheduled to hear BZA case 2405. This is an appeal of the zoning administrator, September 27th, 2024. Initial notice of violation for 279 East Main Street for the unapproved operation of retail sales establishment of the property, installation of signs on the property. This application was continued from the BZA's January 7th meeting. Also scheduled to hear BZA case 2501, an amendment to the special exception multiple family detached dwelling use at 279 East Main Street to allow for a 32 square foot sign for the multifamily use. The hope would be that would address the previous case and the issues that came up with signage. On January 16th, the Planning and Zoning Commission is tentatively scheduled to review the 2024 City of Westminster Annual Report. This is a planning document for the Maryland Department of Planning and review Site Development Plan S1837, My Canine Buddy, to construct a 40,000 square foot indoor dog training and event facility. The subject property is located on the northern side of Criders Church Road behind the existing sheltered systems. And that completes my report. I'm available for any questions.
What was the date of that last item?
January 16th.
Are there any questions for Mr. Depot?
Ms. Imhoff, yes, I have a question.
I'm sorry, February 16th.
February 16th.
My
Thank you.
buddy, that was something that's come up in front of before, isn't it? That's not something new, it's like repeated.
There was a text amendment years ago that was adopted by the Marion County Council to allow for this specific use. And they're moving forward for that particular use. There was a previous.
For the Air Business Park? Wasn't that supposed to be over in the Air Business Park?
Over by the airport, right?
It is, it's south of the airport, south of the existing airport
Okay.
on Criders Church, yeah.
Oh, on Criders.
It's taken some time. They've been through a couple engineers and, but we're finally, hopefully getting to the finish line.
train a lot of dogs to build a 40,000 square foot building.
Yes.
They take Marta some time.
Mhm.
Are there any other questions for Mr. Depot? Hearing none, we'll move on to the finance department. Ms. Rogers.
Thank you, Ms. M. Halls. Good evening. I just wanted to take the time to thank FB and Company for coming out and the presentation tonight, and just wanted to let the council, your council know that they've been a good partner with us, and while they remain independent to do this audit, they've been a good partnership with us. So I just wanted to report that to you. I also wanted to echo what the McDaniel College Provost mentioned about the internships that we had this year. They were very mutually beneficial. Thanks to the intern that we had in the finance department, we were able to start the budget process earlier this year. So it was a good experience. It was a lot more in-depth to prepare for it this year, but it was a good experience for both of us. That's the end of my report.
Are there any questions for the finance director?
No, I don't know if it's possible, maybe we should try and invite those two young people to a council meeting if they have time.
Really think a couple of college kids want to come and listen to us.
We'll get it
The presentation and then
I'll leave.
But such a.
Very simple.
Are there any other questions for the finance department? Hearing none, we'll move on to the police department. Chief Ledlow.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Just to add on to what Councilman Kavachi was talking about earlier, our Department of Public Works and IT will be doing some renovations in our dispatch room. And in order to do the drywall and the floor in there, we're gonna have to move the dispatch consoles. So beginning next Monday, we're gonna relocate one of our dispatchers back into the detective office, where we have, we'll move one of the NCIC computers, and then we're gonna move the second dispatcher temporarily out with the county at one of the 911 consoles, so that will operate while the renovations are underway. It won't cause any disruption to service. There may be some limitations on walk-in times while the construction's underway, and we'll have signage up giving directions, and there's a phone in the vestibule that somebody could pick up to get a hold of us. So wanted to make you aware of that. We anticipate it being complete within a week to 10 days, more than likely. But there's a lot of wires behind the consoles that we're going to simplify, and IT is going to help us create conduits that are going to be labeled and much more organized. And that concludes my report.
Any questions for the chief? Mr. President, that concludes the departmental reports.
All right, very good, thank you. Ms. Halls. That takes us to the last item on our agenda, which is citizen comments. This is the opportunity for the public to address the mayor and council on any issues that pertain to tonight's agenda or any other city issues. Excuse me. For citizens not attending the public meeting, we invite you to send us your comments or concerns via email at comments@westminstermd.gov. All comments received by email will be shared with the mayor and council. Commenters should include their address and phone number with their comments. We now invite comments from anyone who is present this evening. It's an opportunity for the public to share their thoughts and concerns with the mayor and council. Ask anyone who wishes to be heard to please give us your name and address for the record. Is there anyone who wishes to be heard tonight? Ms. McNulty.
Wendy McNulty, 195 West Main Street. I'd like to thank the police department saved the life of one of my tenants the Friday before last. And he would not be alive today if they had not arrived when they did.
Thank you. All right, anyone else? Yes, sir.
I'm Vito Rochelle. I'm the owner of Carroll Adult Medical Daycare. Thank you guys for approving the annexation thing. We've been working very hard. It's taken a long time. We've dumped a lot of money into this already, and we're just hoping to get the permits already and start the construction. It's not going to be too much stuff that we got to do there, but hopefully, if you guys are all on board, seems like you are. We want to try to open by the end of this year or before that, and I think we can push us through the more help it'll give us. So
all right.
I appreciate you guys.
All right, very good, thank you. All right, anyone else? Okay. Well, thank you all for joining us this evening. That concludes our agenda and the meeting. Our next regular meeting will be Monday, February 10th. With that, I hope Ms. Halls is wrong about the snow. Without objection, we are adjourned.